Thank you so much, everybody, for joining in. We have Dr. Anamika Biswas here with us. She obtained her MA and doctorate degree from the National Museum Institute of History of Art in the subject History of Art. She's been active in the field of heritage and cultural development and management for over 20 years. She commenced her professional journey with the UNESCO ICOMOS project, where she was involved in digital documentation of museum collections of more than 15 museums across India, which included Mumtaz Mahal Museum, Patna State Museum, Salarjung, Hyderabad, Bodh Gaya, Nalanda Museum, etc. She's been active recently also in design and development of Bihar Museum, conceptualization of Tansin Museum in Madhya Pradesh, Surajkund International Crafts Mela, and implementation of Gita Mahotsav in Kurukshetra. So fairly active in that. She has been attached to the National Museum and National Museum Institute of History of Art. She's also authored a book on the modern sculptor Ram Kinkar Baij and published a number of articles and journals. I'm just going to mute Mr. Gautam. Okay. I think before I hand it over to you, I think Dr. Anamika, you in fact started your career in an art gallery, I think.
Yeah.
Maybe I thought that this would be a very useful thing. I've been running BidCurios.com, attempting to propagate art as a collectible item, and understand how we can collect art. So this is, really I'm thankful to you for taking the time out and being with us. I was actually pleasantly surprised at the number of people who actually registered and showed interest in this forum. So that was heartening to know that there are people who are interested in art. So over to you. I think maybe if you can just maybe touch upon initially in terms of a little bit about your journey, and then maybe start with why collect art? Why do people collect art, and something like that? We can start with that.
Sure. Thank you, Manish, for such a wonderful, introduction. So to say, art collection, means as I started some part of my journey from art galleries, and I would say that as for me as an art connoisseur, it's a different thing. But I learned and I saw why people collect art. I had hands-on experience with people. And yes, I realize that people collect art because it's good investment, right? It is not only an aesthetic pleasure for them when they collect it, it is also a wonderful investment because when I was at art galleries, I could see that how the prices when they were bought and when they have been changing hands are they are really going higher. So by now I understand even a little bit about the finance market also. So this it's I have seen that it's like something you buy at a lower price and later on you go ahead and sell it on a higher price like your stocks. And I see that this is a wonderful investment because it gives you happiness. It's aesthetic experience. First of all, it's not in the locker. It is not in your somewhere left with as a document and or a property somewhere which you need to maintain. But it's an art piece which is with you, living with you, and it's a good investment as such. So that's what I realized, that most of the art collectors, whether they are from they're collecting any of the artists, so they have this very clear idea that they're collecting art for two reasons: for the aesthetic experience as well as for the investment purpose.
Okay, that's interesting. So from your perspective, art as an investment, it's a good investment. I think one thing that I liked what you said was that it's when you make an investment, whether it's a stock market or property or something else, or even jewelry, you put it in a locker and that's the end of it. With art, you actually see it every day and you enjoy your investment every day.
Right. It is something which it's like you're having it, you're enjoying it, and you know that this value is going higher day by day. So that's the best part about it. And but I feel that of course it changes the art itself, the piece changes the environment, the mood, wherever you take it, from one room to another room. People do that. They will shift it from one room to another room. But that, yes, that's what it is, that you are enjoying it every day. You can change your how you want to enjoy it from one room to another room, from one frame to another frame. Also is a different experience from the same artwork. So that's the best part about it. It's an investment which you enjoy and which actually gives you a good return.
Okay, okay. So, but should art be bought only as an investment, or are there other reasons for collecting art?
uh, See, the first reason or the very interesting reason would be that a person, when he's investing, of course he's investing, when he's buying an artwork, he's investing. First of all, that's the reason, main reason. Second is, of course, it's connecting with the particular artist, connecting with his story, connecting with his style, connecting with his mannerism. That all also become as a package when a person is buying collecting art. So it's not if I say the somewhere 50% is the investment part, 50% is that emotional connect, that aesthetic experience, that also takes a big part out of it.
Mhm. So I think what I have heard from some of the people is that it seems like a rich person's hobby. You need a lot of money. How can I ever buy a Hussein? It costs, tens of lakhs. And we keep obviously hearing the news how something got sold in Christie's for, $3 million and things like that. So it seems little out of reach from, regular people. Is that so?
No, on the contrary, I would like to state that it's much better if you invest in the younger artist, newer artist, and they are the cost is of their artwork is somewhere around 20,000, 30,000 and plus. So that depends on their work, of course, upon the artist also. But yes, that's the good price from where you start. And it's a rich person hobby when it becomes, it changes hands from one to another. So if you are the first buyer from that artist and you are taking that 30, spending 30,000 rupees, then you are being a good investment. You don't need that lakhs and lakhs of rupees. You may get lakhs and lakhs of rupees once you have bought that artwork, and for after 10 years or 15 years, maybe 20 years. For example, if I take Hussein was a film, he used to make film posters. So primarily when he started his journey as artist, when he joined the Bombay group, I don't think so people were taking him that seriously. And very few people were buying his work or wanted to buy or call him as an artist. But eventually what happened? Within his lifetime, he was such a popular artist, and so well, I would say placed and prized across the world. So people who have trusted him, people who have invested him at the earlier stage, they made a lot of money. So that's what I believe. If so, every artist has that potential. That the buyer or the collector has to realize that, and if they realize it, and once people start buying, and if the artist is sold to many people, is part of the collections, the prices automatically goes high.
Hmm. That's interesting, actually. Yeah, it's a good thing that you spoke about Hussein. He's obviously one of the most popular painters of India, along with many others, of course. But his name obviously comes up a lot of times. And like you said, I think he started his career painting posters in Mumbai, some film posters as well as things
Yeah,
behind buses and things
yes,
like
yes, yes, you are
that.
absolutely right, Manish. His artwork or his journey actually started from the film poster. So that is why when even he joined his Bombay group, he tried to be with them. The artist, people were not taking him seriously as an artist. But eventually his art evolved, and it became such a the style, his own mannerism, his own stories, his muses. They changed the whole history of Indian modern painting.
Right, right, right. So what would you say to some of the new collectors in terms of how can they start their collection, and what should they keep in mind when they're starting their collection?
I would say that they must and they should buy from the artist, and they get it authenticated. They get the signature of the artist, and the artist who's maybe the ranging, his artwork could be ranging from 30,000, 35,000. That's a good price range. It means he's been, he's already some kind of a reputation he has. That's why he's costing this kind of, or he's quoting this kind of a price. So that's the beginning point, and definitely buying from the straight from the artist is one of the best thing one can do, because then you can get it authenticated by the artist. You have the artwork him signed by himself. You know that this is done by him. So these are the things I think one should take care. Means one, I would say that don't go. The new collector should not bounce over many things. So yes, it's good that they buy somewhere from the young artist. Of course, that's where they should be starting. Of course, there's another opportunity for people who likes to have those names, like I want to have Hussain only in my home. That could be my desire. That's it's a kind of one of the dream. I have that dream that in my house, when I make my house, I want to have Hussain at my in my wall, on my wall. So what to do about that? So for those kind of collectors, there is an opportunity that the serigraphs are available. Serigraphs are the screen prints of the artworks. They are not the originals, but they are with the consent of the artist. They are limited edition serigraphs are there, and they are originally signed by the artist. So you will find on the bottom of that, there's, number is written, say the limited number is 200. So you will find 175 out of 200. So it means the 175th number is this one. This screen print is that. So that is another opportunity, and those are also not that expensive. They are somewhere around, maybe again 35, 50,000 rupees, not more than that. So
Okay.
that's another thing new art collector can look for.
Okay. So I mean, I guess as a new art collector, I can think of getting a Jamini Roy or a Hussain or somebody else, but probably as a serigraph, which are also not cheap in that sense. But they are obviously much cheaper than their original paintings.
Right. It's much better than buying a print for them instead
Oh,
of, buying. Yeah, it's much better than
right.
buying a print, isn't it?
Yes,
Just a
absolutely.
print. Yeah, yeah. So that the authentication of the artist is the main thing. That's what is the
Oh.
investment actually, even if you want to invest that.
And if you're buying a painting that's by a very renowned painter, and say perhaps if you're buying Hussein, what should what all things I should take care of to make sure that it's not a fake?
One is that very important part. If the artist is alive, and Hussain is not alive, even if he lost his son as well. But of course, there are people who are looking after their collections. So there are, trust who are looking after their collection. They have a complete, tracking of their artworks, which artwork is sold to when and how. So there's a documentation, pure proper documentation, as you get for your properties. There's a handover documents or registration from one to another has happened. So similarly, yes, few people get it registered also. Let me tell you, few people get it registered also with the divisional magistrate and all that. So that is also available. That is generally optional. It's not mandatory, but yes, it is also available. Otherwise, on the certificate itself, it shows the name of the owner, so you can trace back who was owning it the first one time, and you can get in touch with those trusts, or the whosoever is the heir who's looking after the collection of the artist, and check back with them. This is what we have received, and we are about to buy, and this is the artwork. You can share the photograph and ask them that if it is part of their own work, it's the authentic work, or it has been created, recreated. So now I see a lot of Hussains being created, which I've never seen that Hussain's collection. This is his style has been copied. So
Right.
that yeah, so that is possibility. But yes, that's how you get it done. For example, for Raza, there is a Raza Foundation. So if you're
Mm.
buying a Raza, you can always check back with the Raza Foundation. His heirs are there, the trust is there, members are there, so you can ask them. So generally now people are keeping digital documentation, so they'll be able to tell you over the email also that okay, this artwork is theirs, and it should have been bought by this person. This is the data, and you're buying a right. This is a good right artwork. It's the correct one which you're buying.
Right. Yeah, I think you mentioned digital. Now there's digital art also, but I think that requires a completely separate webinar to understand that. Because you have these NFTs, which are basically like your Bitcoin tokens, which allow only one digital art form to exist. And I'm not sure how
Yeah,
that works, but I
yeah,
guess that.
that's a whole different thing, and people are also it's a very it needs programming also. There's a stamp in the program or in each artwork. There's a stamp or the signature or a signature, whatever tagline within every digital artwork.
Okay,
So yeah, so that's how it is authenticated.
okay, okay. So from the perspective of uh, you know, buying art, uh, kind of a thing. One thing you said is that, of course, buy directly from the artist. It's usually safer and more authentic in that
Right.
sense. And if I am not, what basically it should also then talk to me, right? The painting when I'm buying a painting. Or normally, क्या होता है? They say my curtains are red, so I should buy a red painting. Is buying art different like that, or is it still like a something specialized in buying art?
See, serious buyers or serious collectors will not be matching their upholstery with the artwork.
Right.
As simple as it is. So serious people who are keenly, I would suggest whosoever is collecting because he has an interest in the art. It means he's definitely looking or reading some part of the art. He's been seeing something. He's gone to some, art gallery. He's gone to some art exhibition, and something has inspired him. That what I think so. That could be the reason people are buying, or even on the seeing nowadays a lot of digital, online. You are seeing a lot of beautiful artworks are available. Like BidCurios has what a wonderful collection. So you go through and you feel like buying them. So out of those, definitely, it's a figurative work. It's a simple abstract work. There is, you can see, expressionism. You can see impressionism. Nobody does anymore. So so there are many. You get. I would say people respond. An art collector should buy an artwork to which he himself responds. So that
Okay,
connection can only be established if see artwork. Oh, it's echoing.
just a second. I think some request everybody to be on mute. We will have time when we'll open the floor for others to ask questions. Okay, go ahead, Dr. Anamika.
Yeah, thank you. So it's very important that because it's going to be on your wall, it's going to be in your drawing room or maybe in bedroom or dining room, anywhere. But you need to be connected or be able to appreciate and respond to that. So that's how it is. So that's the connect I'm saying, that there are variety of forms of art, many. There have been so many movements. Everybody do not respond to everything. For example, Dali's works are very different. Everybody will not respond to them. But yes, there are people who have bought his work. So that's where I'm saying that people have to. The art collector has to see this part also, that he's enjoying that. He's feeling that connection when he's looking at the art. And
Right.
at the same time, I feel that the variety of art we have, nowadays with the opening up digital platforms, we are able to see. So it's making people more and more aware about types of art, forms of art, and variety of art.
And one of the things that obviously in the whole art world and that typically news items sort of make it famous is the auctions part of it. And there's this whole news saying something went for so many crores of rupees in an auction. Is it okay to participate in an auction, or does auction normally mean that you will buy only at a higher price?
Not necessarily, because what happens that auctions happen because there is an objective to make benefit out of it, definitely. But at the same time, there are other, objectives that artist needs to go out, and as many hands it changes, the price goes up. So that's another objective. So it might happen that if you participate in an auction, and nobody else wants to bid for it, and eventually you get the base price. So these are good opportunities. I think people should who want to invest, they should participate in it. Most of them are free of cost when you're participating, or a minimal amount for registration is there. So it's a good idea if you want to invest. You can sit and wait and watch. You might get something at a lesser price rather.
Okay, that's good. That's interesting. Otherwise, normally there's a whole aura about auctions and things like that. So that's good to know. Before we sort of open the floor for the audience to ask any more questions, I noticed that we also have a lot of artists in the audience today. What would you say to them? Should artists be creating for the collector or for themselves?
I think artists know the answer of this question. They know it pretty well. I have seen artists who will not be happy because they are creating or producing work for others because they have been commissioned. And that's not the creativity they are doing. That's not what they are there for. What I would say with my experience, as and when an artist has opened up his soul and his heart to the canvas or to the material, he has created his own style, his own mannerism, and there he establishes himself as an artist in this whole big art world. So I would rather suggest that be an artist, do what you have decided and what you have chosen to do, not for the commissioning.
I mean, I
That's
guess
from
there
my
may be
perspective.
other commercial compulsions for doing commission work, but as an artist, if I'm creating art, then I just create art at that point in time.
Right. So that's the fundamental. I would say that having commissions is a good thing, and I would say you can only get commission because you have established your mannerism, your own style.
Okay.
So yeah. So if you establish your style, then people would like to commission you. That's how I see it. That's how I've seen the development in the art world or the artist once they have established themselves. The struggle remains till they establish their identity through their work and their style.
Oh,
Yeah. So
so
once the
once they
struggle is,
establish their style, then commissions automatically come in.
yes, that what
Okay. All
happens.
right. Fair enough.
And yeah. And that where, market starts demanding their work or their style more and more.
Mhm. Okay, fair enough, fair enough. I think some very useful inputs, Dr. Anamika. I just want to open this up now. You know, we did have a lot of we do have a lot of artists. In fact, that sort of reminded me that the next webinar that we are planning, and that's for everybody, was actually for artists in terms of how you can find collectors and how you can find buyers for your art. But that's really for the next webinar. We will have another webinar in 3 or 4 weeks' time. But right now, if there are any questions that people had, I just want to open the floor for everybody in case you want to ask any questions for Dr. Anamika. Yes, Meera Manavalan wants to ask a question. Meera, you might want to unmute yourself, and then
Yeah,
after that we can get Yogesh also to ask. Yes, go ahead, Meera.
my question is about Indian art like Pichwai, Gondat, Madhubanis, Kalamkari, about Indian art, actual, the traditional thing. Are they good investments? I mean, like people like Prakash Joshi and others who do very good forms of traditional art. Are they good investments? That's my question.
Thank you, Meera, for asking me this question. This was, halfway I was about to speak about it, then I just, stopped myself. It's a wonderful investment. Not only it is wonderful investment, Meera, because one as an Indian, we are rooted, or these stories or these mythologies are rooted in somewhere in our DNA. So that's the most beautiful part of it. You feel very much part of them. The whole family or generations can feel the connection, whether they are senior to you or the coming generation. So that's the artistic part of it. And of course it's a wonderful investment. If you are getting it signed, you are having the full documentation, it's a wonderful investment. And you will definitely see, India is making its mark, whether it is in any sphere. So having this folk art also, so these different folk arts are also very popular, and people would like to see. Even if you see in the MoMA collection, there are you will find in all the international wherever the folk art is there, some part of Indian Indian folk art is always there. So that's where the if it is acknowledged in the international collections, that's where we see the journey has started.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Meeraji. Appreciate that. Yogesh, do you want to go ahead next?
Yeah, thanks, Manish, for giving this opportunity. Anamika ji, my question is to you, once you look at art and you are, it's kind of impulsive buying and you immediately relate to the artwork and then you take a purchase decision. Great. But then how do you know which you buy it? And there are various genres. So which one to go for it? Should I go for abstract? Should I go for figurative? Or should I go for something else? Or something which actually my art relates to? So is there any way of knowing?
At a very simple or superficial level, Manish, can you mute it because I can hear the echo?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah. If I say that, as you mentioned, that impulsive art. So whatever said and done, impulsive buying actually doesn't happen, Mr. Yogesh. Let me tell you very clearly. You have felt some connection. That's why you have bought it. To be very, 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 very precise. And as you are saying that what should I buy, means which genre should I be buying? Should I be buying figurative? Should I be buying abstract? Should I be buying something else? That's entirely up to you. And there are people who would be making collection of a certain type, like they will be making all the abstract artworks, they'll be taking abstract expressionism and they'll be collecting multiple of them. So they will when they showcase it or when they want to sell it out, then they have the investment has a bigger or a better price because you have variety of similar genre. At the same time, there are people who would like to experiment and who would like to say, no, I want to have two of the abstracts and I want to have two of even sculptures, and I want to have two figurative artworks, and I do want to have two folk artworks. So that also happens. Then eventually, slowly, when you start building, it will happen. It happens very organically, I would say, that when people start collecting art, eventually after, if I say 10 or 12, you will realize that you have certain likings, strong likings, and those strong likings are your collections, and then you can then you have your story for that, then you have your connection for that. That what happens. I don't want to downgrade it, but I want to simplify it. But yes, it happens with your wardrobe also. If you open your wardrobe, you will see you wear certain colors only.
Fair enough. Does that answer your question, Yogesh?
Yeah, thank you. But one more clarification I would request to Anamika ji. How do I know which I am buying, whatever be the reason, is having a good potential from the investment point of view? Is there a method of figuring it out, or it's just like that you buy it and then the future holds it?
One is when you are investing, and that, as you mentioned, impulsive buying you are doing, or that is you liked it. Then it's good to look for or read about the artist. What is his journey from where he started? What is he doing? Is his collection are part of, or his collections are being bought or sold? Or does he mention that he's doing a lot of exhibition camps, or he's participating in the exhibitions? Or do you see his artwork from same or other galleries or other platforms is being sold? So you have to see the visibility of the artist available on the various platforms or various areas. So if the visibility is there of even upcoming artist, I am guaranteeing you that it's going to get good price.
Okay, thank you so much. Yeah, go ahead, Yogesh ji. Okay, we have Mautli, who has also raised her hand. Mautli, you can ask your question. I hope
Yeah,
right.
yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible.
Yeah. So I'd like to ask, like, is a good painting equivalent to a sellable painting? Like,
This is a very artistic question. So I would respond to it that an artist knows better that which is a better painting than anybody else. So the creator knows what he has created. Is it from the soul or heart or emotion, or it's an expressive material which he has created, or it is just for the sake of it he has created. So that answer lies with the artist, then the viewer.
and one more, like, thank you. One more, like, how to identify an unknown artist's work? Like, is it good or bad? Like,
This is a very academic question, Motuli. If that depends which style of art that artist is picking up. Is he, using what material is he picking up, and if he's creating his own style, the brushwork, how is the brushwork, and if he's imitating, that can also be seen. People who are into the art world, like if you go to the art galleries and you show it to them, even on this thing, your phones, they will be able to just tell you that this is a copy, or he's trying to copy somebody's styles. So it's not that difficult. So unknown or known artist, I would say wherever you find that his strokes are genuine, his line is doing justice to the artwork, it's a good artwork.
okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mautli. Appreciate that question. If, Ashish, yes, Ashish, you want to ask a question? Go ahead, Ashish Agrawalji. You can unmute yourself and ask. Yeah.
Am I audible?
Ashish, you're not very audible.
Am I audible?
No, we can't hear you at all, Ashish ji.
Hello.
No, we can't hear you. Maybe you can just type your question in the chat. For some reason, we are unable to hear you. Let's move ahead. Raman, Raman, you can ask your question.
Yeah, hi. Am I audible?
Yes, you're audible. Yes, Ramanji.
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful session and good afternoon. My question is like we hear frequently that artists are getting good price in auctions like Sotheby's or Christie's, and Indian artworks are getting sold at high prices. But my question is, do the artists themselves have any percentage of it, or is it being consumed by totally the those middlemen or the shareholders or those kind of people? I mean, do the artists get any royalty in these cases? Thanks.
Manish, would you like to respond to that?
I didn't quite hear the question very well. I think you're talking about something about auctions, right, Ashish? Raman?
Yes, yes. I was asking whether do the artists themselves get any percentage from the high prices at which the artworks getting sold at the auctions?
Okay, so auctions they work differently, and different galleries have different rules in that sense for auctions. Like some galleries will charge a certain percentage over the hammer price, both from the artist as well as the buyer. Some just charge from the buyer. Some define a percentage that goes to the artists. So I think basically, if you're an artist and you're connecting with an auction house, you need to clarify these things before with them. So it's a little, I mean, the general thumb rule is that many auction houses do charge a slight premium above the hammer price. And the artist percentage is anywhere between 30 to 50%. I'm sorry, the gallery percentage is anywhere between 30 to 50%. I think, if I'm right, Dr. Anamika, would that be a correct estimate?
Yeah, it is pretty close. And again, it depends. It depends from gallery to gallery. And as I understand, Mr. Ramin was wanted to understand that if I'm going to rephrase his question. So he's saying that when these artworks are sold at a very high price, say for Tayyab Mehta is sold for, it was in news that Tayyab Mehta was sold for one of the highest price. So do the artists get any kind of royalty out of it? So again, Mr. Ramin, as Manish mentioned, that it depends on the, in this case, it will depend upon the Christie and the artist. If it is being sold by the artist to the Christie's, if they have some kind of an MOU or collateral where it decides, establishes a kind of percentages, then it will be there. If it is not, then it will not be there. It's just like buying any other thing. If you buy a property and if you sell it out, you won't have your any privilege. But if you're renting it out, you will have different privileges. So similarly, if you are giving it only for the auction and you are still owning it, then there will be a different, terms and conditions. That depends from one to another. There is no fixed rule for it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think Ashish Agrawal, we couldn't hear, but he wants to ask a question. Are there any particular parameters that art collectors follow before buying an artwork from young artists? I think you did sort of answer this question, but we can summarize it again.
Yeah, this question will, I think, will be coming again and again from many people. But the answer is yes. When you're buying from a young artist, generally young artists, if I look at my experience, I don't know if it has changed anyhow by other standards. I don't know, but yes, most of the artists are 25, 28-year old to 35-year-old, the young artists which we call. Even say 40 is called young. So that's one of the criteria. So the how long they are practicing the art and they're continuing it as a profession, that is one of the parameter. And that also decides that how many platforms they are visible now. Okay. So if they're participating in exhibitions, they are doing camp exhibition, artist camp, they are doing art, they are available on different platforms. Their works are available on different in different art galleries. It means they are strongly, they want to let people feel their presence there, and that's the right parameter that you should buy that artist.
Thank you, Dr. Anamika. Dr. Surajit Ghosh, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon, Manish. So, my question is like, of course, it might be a very blunt question, but how does one evaluate and come up with a valuation of an art? For example, let's say I buy it with at a price point X, and will it go up or down, or will it go to 2x or 3x? How would one evaluate it?
So one thing, it will never go down. That's the best part about it. For the art, I have never seen that anybody's art being sold and it is being resold at a lesser price. I have never seen so. So that's one thing. Second thing is 2x, 3x. Again, it's the same answer, Mr. Surajit, Dr. Surajit. That if artist is continuing his journey, artist is continuing to create and produce artworks, and they do change their style. I must tell you that nobody sticks to one style. They will, develop. They will organically grow into something or the other. Their artwork, their material may change. So if the artist is continuously in that field, you take a guarantee his price are going to go higher. Even if some of the artists, like they all are human, so they also die in between. But their collections, even if they're unsold, they're sitting in their studios, and they have been bought at some point of time by some art collectors. When it comes out, it really gets good price. So there is no way that you will get a lesser price for artwork.
My take on that is that if people buy, then the artist is likely to be recognized. If the artist is likely to be recognized, the people will buy. So it's a little bit of a cycle.
Yeah, it's a cycle, but it's very interestingly it's very interestingly depends also on artist continuing the journey. So most of the artists who are listening to me, they must be agreeing with me that continuing the journey is very important. For
Right.
same is for the collectors. They have to continue doing this, and then they will get their investments well paid.
Great. Does that
Yeah,
answer
thank
your
you.
question?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Does anybody else have any questions? Okay. So yeah, go ahead, Meeraji. Or
yeah, so I'm as I said, I'm into collecting Indian, traditional art. I collect mostly from Dastakar festivals when the artists come and they are award-winning artists and all that. But at that time, they do not have a certificate of authentication or anything like that. Is it important that I get one from them when I buy it from them, or how is it?
See, I would say that it's very important that you get it from them. You can look for some of the formats which are available. You will get it on the website also. Many of the Google. If you Google it, you will get some of the basic formats. So you can carry that formats. You can get it vetted by your legal advisor also, so that you can carry it and you can get it signed and stamped by them. And definitely with that, you take their national awardees, self-attested copy. So that adds value to your work, because who's going to tell who's he? National awardee, you are saying. Who's going to believe that is national awardee? So for that, it's very good that you have they have that certificate. They generally showcase it there. So you can take a copy of that and get a self-attestation from this fellow that yes, I am the one whose artwork has been sold and I am the national awardee. So that you should always keep as a documentation with your certificate that this is the work done by me.
Okay, thank you very much.
okay. Motoli, you were wanting to ask something?
Yeah,
else?
hi. Yeah. Right. I was would like to ask, folk art, is it a good investment?
Sorry,
Folk
your
art.
voice broke actually.
Folk art, is it a good collectible as investment? Yeah.
Motuli, if I tell you the future or the way I see art scene, folk art is the future. Okay, because when we look at even Picasso, eventually what he created was very much related to the cave arts. So of course, all kinds of art have their their market there, because as long as you have investor or people who like the art, you will have price for that. You will have that fruition of your investment very soon. So similarly for the folk art, there's a big market, so nothing to be worried about it. It has its own market, and it is somewhere I feel it is being recognized slowly, and it will be.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Okay. So I think we can wrap it up here, unless somebody has another. So it doesn't look like anybody else has another question. So we can wrap it up here. Thank you so much, Dr. Anamika Biswas, for taking the time out. And I really appreciate your the experience that you have shared. And I'm hoping that all the participants also found this session very useful. And looking forward to our next webinar in the future, perhaps focused more on artists at that point in time. So thank you so much, and thank you everybody for being with us. Dr. Anamika, you want to say something? Last few words?
Yeah, thank you, Manish. It's a wonderful platform, because this is how we are connected nowadays because of the great pandemic. And of course, I must appreciate the active participation of the audience, and it made really wonderful. The whole program became wonderful because of these questions. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
And I think we had one question in the chat box which talked about digital art market, but I think we're out of time. So we'll try and cover that. We did touch upon that briefly during the webinar, but we'll try and cover more of that in the next webinar. Sorry about that, Sheikh Chand, but we'll try and cover it in the next webinar. So thank you, everybody. Really appreciate everybody taking time out and attending the webinar. And thanks everybody for your participation.
And thank you, Manish, for giving me this platform.
Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
you. Okay, bye.
All right. Bye bye, everybody.